Following this week's theme of stories which just shouldn't be reality, Mike is going to talk about a story about China reviewing every single comment on social media in today's not so dystopian update.
It seems like a good way to create jobs, I guess, if nothing else, to pay people to
That's
review.
what I was imagining. I was imagining, the Simpsons movie? The Simpsons movie? Sorry, totally botched your but like, okay, in the Simpsons movie.
All right.
I think it's the Simpsons are running away and like there's a robot on a train and the NSA is listening through this robot that looks like a conductor and the NSA yells out, "We got one. It works. We finally got one." And this was before the Edward Snowden leaks. It's kind of a big deal that they had put this in their movie. And I think it was in 2005 it came out, something like that. And
I haven't seen it yet, John. Thank you for the spoiler warning.
Okay, fucking 17 years too late. Anyway, I'm imagining
it's on my list.
Massive room filled with low-level analysts just scrolling, waiting.
We got one hit.
A dissident. We got
so,
one.
Do you want to just recap the story quickly?
No, let's just move on. Yeah, no. So basically, not manual review, I assume. I don't know if the article specifically said that, but they have a policy now where every post to social media is, we'll just call it censored. And the adjustment they're going to make is that now the comments to those posts also will be reviewed for appropriateness and lack of anti-government sentiment and nothing inappropriate that, according to the government, shouldn't be posted. Where before the comments were kind of a loophole.
I imagine the Chinese government are such big fans of Black Mirror because they just copy fucking everything. Like it's like, oh, deadly autonomous bees that can kill our target. Write that down. Write that down, Jeff. Like we have that.
It's kind of crazy. I've seen people do searches for stuff like Tiananmen Square in China, and there's just nothing there, which is such a weird thing. We think of Twitter and Facebook as being so large, or TikTok or whatever, as being so large and unmanageable and so vast. The number of posts and was it 1 billion hours uploaded to YouTube every day or something like this. It just seems like, whoa, that's not. We couldn't possibly control that, but the fucking China has, and it's easy to see by just Googling for something that's been censored and not finding any results. It's really weird.
I watched a documentary. It was fairly short. This guy went to Tiananmen Square on the anniversary of the massacre, and he's filming from a first-person view, and everyone's acting like it's any normal day. They're sitting at the park. There's a stand selling things, and he walks around and he asks them, "Do you know what happened today? Do you know what the anniversary is?" And most people give him like kind of they've seen a ghost and they walk away. Others get a bit agitated saying, "You shouldn't be here. You shouldn't be asking this." I think he only got one response. It might've been from an old lady or an older gentleman. I don't remember, basically being like, yeah, they killed everyone, but like really not like, it wasn't, it was very, it was so scary because you can tell that all of these Chinese citizens are aware. They know what happened and they just stay quiet. And that's the fear of such a regime.
It does feel like a movie.
Yeah, I host a show for World Affairs Council, and we had an expert on China come in. And one of the questions was about how the people of China feel about some of these censorship policies. And he said, well, nobody knows because they can't say. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Fair enough.
It's I kind of think, I think to myself, that this kind of thing is never going to work in practice. Real censorship, it just couldn't possibly work. People would fight against it and figure out a way to get around it. And I believe in the what is it? The internet considers censorship a bug and will root around it. But I suppose if you have an entire like superpower bending its will to making this happen, it can actually happen, as we can see in real life today, which is
And you can circumvent the Chinese firewall. It just takes an enormous amount of effort, especially if you're not technologically
and potential risk as well.
Of course, 100%. That is your personal IP. Where no matter if you go to a cafe, they have cameras everywhere. Like IDs are being tracked in real time, like identities. I mean, like there's really it must be a terrifying feeling knowing
with the social credit score thingy that's going to kind of basically ruin your life on a mundane level. Like you won't be able to take away food anymore.
And
you won't
again,
be able to
it is they are taking pages out from the Black Mirror episodes. Like, this is absurd that this is reality for what, 1 billion people. Very, very scary.
Yeah, you were joking about the Black Mirror thing, but I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. Thinking about it, like they must have focus groups who are thinking, how can we make our censorship better? Listen, I saw this Black Mirror episode recently. It had this great, like, I honestly
they had a social crediting system, and then a year later, here's China announcing a social score. It's crazy, crazy.
You mentioned about bypassing the firewalls. Somebody else had told me the same thing, but the problem is, like, it takes some technological know-how to do that. I mean, presumably having a VPN probably would cause problems for you personally.
Well, that's what you do, right? You'd first need to figure out how to VPN out of China. Now, here's a difficult thing.
Where do I get the software? How do I configure it? Like,
where do I get
the
software?
How do I install it?
And how do I smuggle the software into China? They check devices at random. A lot of their devices have root certs installed just pre-ready for spyware, just to monitor for any sketchy things like that. But let's move past that. You now have the VPN software. Do you know that they're monitoring for common VPN ports? If your answer is no, you probably just committed a crime by trying to make that connection. Because you won't probably go through, because again, the Chinese firewall knows what to look for. Also, if all traffic is being channeled, and I mean all traffic, which their ISP can see that all traffic is being tunneled through to an outside location of China, that raises question marks. So there's so many difficult bumps on the road to circumventing censorship that you have to ask yourself as a Chinese citizen: is it worth it? Is it worth it for me to try to game such an advanced system? Yeah, very scary.
And I think I said this on the show before, but I was talking to a guy. Oh, it was the guy that I was talking to in the sauna. He was I think he was a Chinese immigrant who worked with immigrants coming into the United States. And I'd asked him about like censorship online, and his advice to immigrants coming to the US was that they should be trained on how to use social media and what they can and can't say. So like really deeply ingrained this idea of like, watch what you say. There are only certain things that are safe to say. It's concerning for sure. Although I just defended I just railed against anonymity.
I was just thinking about that. Like you would.
I mean, I guess I'd say I'm still against anonymity here, but I'm more against the communist Chinese government. So, like, address the problem. I mean, don't cover it up by with all these workarounds.
I'm happy that you're reasonable in your in your scale of terribleness.
The Chinese government is worse than anonymity online. Well, is that true? I don't know. Maybe that's true. I guess I have to think about that a little harder and not plan a trip to China anytime soon. Apparently,
the other thing I just wanted to point out is another reason that this is bonkers to me. You were saying about job creation here, right? So we talked about a thing before where in China they don't have QA teams. They just have brute force testers. Like they don't have automated tests. They have QA teams, but they don't have automated testing in software development, which just seems crazy. But they do have the workforce to make this work, like to put this into practice. They just need to hire more people to monitor comments. Although the training that you would have to go through as a moderator, they must be hiring like tens of millions of moderators.
Denied.
But to be consistent between all of them about what kind of content gets through, there's always some kind of like subjective evaluation when you're looking at content online, and for them all to be consistent enough to like effectively monitor things is the kind of an interesting human resources issue, I think. Yeah,
that's what Peter's concerned about. Let's see the HR policies behind this. Training manuals, policy documentation,
onboarding, offboarding. Like, yeah, this is.
We'll do another show on that.
We'll do an entirely new show as part of the Not So Network. Yeah.
John, did you have something you wanted to add?
Fuck Facebook.